In this video, I'm going to take a look at some prerequisite skills required for the SAT test, and it's all going to be centered around graphing. Things you should know about the coordinate plane and graphing either a single equation or a system of equations. So first of all, we're going to take a look at just the coordinate plane and get some vocab out of the way. Alright, your coordinate plane is divided into 4 sections and they are called quadrants. So this is quadrant 1. And it is used, a Roman numeral is used in naming that one. So this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2. I'm not going to write the word quadrant in each one of them. It goes counterclockwise around, so this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. Okay, everything in quadrant 1, as far as listing the ordered pairs in there, are going to be a positive and a positive. Because starting with the origin and plotting a point, you go left or right on the x-axis first and then up or down on the y. So I would plot a positive number and then another positive number, and that's always going to get me in quadrant 1. For quadrant 2, all the ordered pairs in quadrant 2 are negative, positive, because if I started at the origin and I went left, I would do a negative number and then a positive number that would get me in that quadrant. In quadrant 3, all the ordered pairs are negative, negative, because if I start at the origin, I would have to go to the left and down to get into this quadrant, so 2 negative numbers, and all the numbers in quadrant 4 are positive, negative, because there again, starting at the origin and going to the right gives me a positive number, going down gives me that negative number there. The center, which is 0, 0, is called the origin, and I've been using that vocab word. Alright, so if it would refer to the origin, it's talking about the point there in the middle. The x-axis here is the one that goes horizontally, and the y-axis is the one that goes vertically up and down. Alright, so just some basic vocab that goes along with that coordinate plane, and definitely all prerequisite skills that they would expect you to know. Let's take a look at another little coordinate plane here. They would expect you obviously to be able to plot points on here at random. They would also expect you to be able to graph an equation, probably most commonly in slope-intercept form. So if I had like y equals 3x plus 4, alright, that's slope-intercept form. Alright, now there are all kinds of ways to graph this. There's shortcut graphing. You can create a table of values. So let's do a little bit of both here. If you did not know how to shortcut graph this, then you would need to construct an XY table or a set of table of values. Alright, usually in a table of values, I'll put a couple negative values, a 0, and then a couple positive numbers. Okay, so like maybe a -2, a -1, 0, 1, 2. Alright, and these are my x values, plugging those values in and working it out, get you your y value, which would be an ordered pair. So if I took -2 and plugged it in here, I'd get a -6, plus 4 more would give me a -2. If I took -1 and plugged it in, -3 plus 4, that's going to give me a 1. If I plug 0 in, 3 times 0 is 0, plus 4 more is going to give me 4. Plugging 1 in, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 4 more is going to give me 7. And then plugging 2 in, that'd be 3 times 2 is 6, plus 4 more is going to give me 10. Alright, so I could plot each one of these points, alright, and they would then form the linear equation from this. So just real quickly, let's go ahead and plot that at -2, -2, and then -1, 1, 0, 4, 1, 7, and 2, 10. Alright, and as we can see there, then that's my linear equation. And let's go ahead and get a ruler out so that I'm kind of straight on this. Alright, so as a prerequisite skill, they would expect you to be able to graph any type of linear equation. Alright, now looking at a shortcut on slope-intercept form, okay, you could have done this much, much quicker without that XY table. This is your y-intercept, and the 3 gives you your slope, okay, or slope as 3 over 1, which would be my rise over my run. Okay, so real quickly, I could go to the y intercept the y-axis and plot my 4, which would have been right there. And then I could have run my slope, a rise of 3 and a run of 1. So then I could have went up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. It would have got me to this point right there. I could have done that multiple times. Up 3 over 1, it would have got me that point. To the left 1, and then down 3 would have stayed on that same pattern. So obviously that would have still ended up in that same spot. But as far as graphing equations in one variable in slope-intercept form, they expect that to be a prerequisite skill that you can do at any point in time, just really easy there. Okay, now if we do one more, taking a look at things that they would expect you to be able to do, they would expect you to be able to, as far as graphing goes, deal with a system of equations. All right, 2 equations at once. So there's a variety of different things that are going to happen, but basically 3. I could graph an equation and they cross 2 equations and they cross at one point. So like let's say I just graphed a line and it crossed there and my second one crossed here. Alright, if I were to graph those 2 lines and they ended up right there, the point at which they cross is the solution. It is one solution, and whatever that ordered pair is, so -9, 6 would be the solution to that system of equations. Alright, now if, staying on the same piece of graph paper, if I had 2 other equations and I graphed them and maybe they turned out to be parallel to each other, alright, that meant they did not cross at all. If they don't cross at all, then there is no solution. Alright, because the point at which they cross is the solution. So that's my second scenario of what could happen in a system of equations. Alright, third scenario would be if I graph a line and then when I graph the second line it ends up being right on top of that first line. Okay, well then the question is, how many points do they have in common? Every point on the line is in common. So this one is infinitely many solutions. Alright, infinitely many solutions. So they do consider this to be a prerequisite skill for graphing, solving systems of equations. And my guess is this might be the one of the harder prerequisite skills. So if you need more in-depth example than what I just did here, because this is just like prerequisite skills, go ahead and look up a video on solving systems of equations. I have some on my channel and there's lots of other channels that do that as well. But this is definitely the last major prerequisite skill in graphing that would be necessary for the SAT. So definitely thanks for watching. Again, these are just some prerequisite skills for your SAT prep to make sure you have all of those under control before you actually start doing specific reviewing with specific types of questions. Definitely thanks for watching, and don't forget to watch for more SAT prep videos as well as subscribe to the channel. Thanks.